Well, Zimbabwe's opposition movement for democratic change have done it. They've mounted a legal challenge to last week's presidential election. We've been waiting to hear what they were going to do. Well, earlier this afternoon, they submitted papers to the Constitutional Court in Harare. Now, the MDC claimed that ballot boxes were stuffed and figures were inflated to give President Mnangagwa his narrow victory. Now, if the court does decide in favour of the challenge, it could order a recount or nullify completely the election results. Our correspondent in Harare, Shinganyoka, has been following the day's events.
The Movement for Democratic Change Alliance lawyers filed their papers here at the Constitutional Court, and at the very last minute, they're challenging the outcome of the presidential results and say that ballot boxes were stuffed and numbers inflated to give President Emmerson Mnangagwa a narrow victory. They'll have to prove that those irregularities affected the outcome of this vote. President Emmerson Mnangagwa avoided a runoff by less than 40,000 votes. This election and the outcome of this court case is hugely significant, not just for him, but for Zimbabwe. He's seeking legitimacy after a questionable takeover of power last November. The international community and observers are also looking at this court case and the election results. They say that free, fair and credible elections are the first step to normalizing international relations with Zimbabwe and providing much needed financial assistance.
Well, joining us now is Alex Magaisa, a lawyer, and also, Mr. Magaisa, you were part of the team that created Zimbabwe's constitution. Just take us through, please, first off, the grounds that Mr. Chamisa has lodged his complaints.
Well, he's obviously challenging the process through which the election was held, and also the process of counting the results, which left a lot to be desired. The challenge by Mr. Chamisa is that this election is not legitimate, and that the process through which the whole procedures were taken through did not conform with what the electoral law and the constitution allows.
It's all about the evidence, though, isn't it? What can you tell us about this?
Well, it is absolutely about the evidence. My understanding in talking to the opposition and discussing the issues is that there is solid evidence of irregularities in the counting process and also in the tallying of the figures which were announced by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission last week. But beyond that, the issue really is also about the process of the election itself, which almost led the opposition to boycotting the whole electoral process. And so the issue is broad. It's about the process, but it's also about the logistics and all the transparency regarding the announcement of the results.
Okay, and your thoughts then on the inauguration being postponed on Sunday? Do you think that adds to the confusion in the country, and also in particular how Zimbabwe is viewed by the international community?
Well, you know, it's important. The Constitution of Zimbabwe provides a process through which aggrieved parties are allowed to challenge the results of a presidential election, and therefore it was important that the government, the state, abides by these processes and ensure that those who are aggrieved are allowed to challenge the process. And there was no need for them to invite people to the inauguration prior to this challenge being taken. Now that it's been taken, of course, it is important that the whole process be challenged, be changed in order to resolve the challenges.
Mr. Magaisa, we were talking about evidence there, and I understand part of the team that lodged the file today in court earlier in Harare was one Dr. P. Zamchia. We don't know where he is. Is he on the run, and why?
Well, this is part of the problem with this whole electoral process, that opposition leaders and their advisors and their technocrats who have been assisting in this process have been put under so much pressure. Their lives and freedom are in danger. We saw Mr. Tendai Biti, one of the key figures in the opposition. He was in serious problems, and he had to flee to Zambia in order to safeguard his life and freedom. And he was brought back unprocedurally, and he has not been able to actually proceed and take part in the process of preparing for this petition. And that's one of the challenges that we have with the Zimbabwean electoral system and the system in general.
Okay. Mr. Magaisa, thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you. You're watching Focus on Africa. A quick look at the stories making headlines across Africa and the rest of the world. Uganda's president, Mr. Museveni, has said that he hopes around 1 million refugees from South Sudan will return home following the signing of a peace deal to end the civil war by the country's leaders. About 2 million South Sudanese people are internally displaced, while a similar number have sought refuge in neighbouring countries. An armed gang has killed at least 10 people in a bank robbery in southern Nigeria. The thieves raided a police station in Edo State, stealing weapons and killing a policeman before then going on to rob 2 banks. In Burundi, a high school headmaster who disguised himself as a student to sit a university entrance exam has been arrested. Headmaster Benjamin Manirambona from the Buterere Technical College in northern Bujumbura was working on the final paper when he was caught by police. He admitted sitting the exam on behalf of a soldier in exchange for money. A video showing Tanzanian police assaulting a journalist is being widely shared on social media. At least 4 police officers can be seen hitting journalist Silas Mbise. The incident happened on Wednesday in Dar es Salaam after a football match between Tanzania's Simba Sports Club and Ghana's Asante Kokoto.